Thank you once again for joining me. In today's video, we are going to look at how do you choose a consulting name for your new consultancy business. And the question you might be having in your mind is, does it matter what I call my consultancy? So for example, if you are Paminas, is it enough if you call your consultancy Paminas Consulting Business? You know? And if you don't want to call your consultancy by your name, what should you then use? What name should you use for your consultancy? Because if you go to Sharia House, you want to register your name, you want to register your consultancy business, they'll ask you for a name. And yes, you have two options. You can go either with your name, the personal name, the individual name, or you can come up with a brand name. So these are very important questions when you're starting your consulting business. And unfortunately, a lot of times you'll find it's after you've begun 3-4 years later, that's the time you look at the name that you're using and say, wow, is this name serving us? Could I have come up with a better business name? So today I'll discuss with you two approaches when it comes to you choosing a consulting business name. They each have their pros and cons, but for me, I do have a favorite. There's what I would encourage you to go with, because I've seen this work not only with myself but with other consultants. So the first approach is where you use your name. So using the example I had given you at the start, you name your consulting business by your individual name. So for example, I, Paminas Wainaina Limited, or HR consultants or something like that, because that's my area of specialization. Now, the advantage of this is if you already have a name in the industry, let's say you've worked for 20 years, you're this top-notch HR or legal person, and you've created this brand for yourself in the industry, then you can use your name. And a good example is, look at the lawyers. Because lawyers, we give them business because of who they are. So a lot of the law firms, you realize that they use the individual name, the name of the lawyer themselves. However, for other industries, a good example being HR, where I practice, rarely will you find someone using the name. Why? Because the main disadvantage of using your name is someone thinks you're a one-man or woman show, and people don't want to feel like they're being serviced by someone who really, whose house is not in order. Remember, perception really matters when it comes to consultancy. So clients want to feel that confident, they want to feel that they're dealing with someone who's competent, they want to feel that they are dealing with even more than one person in a firm, So having a brand name, and that's the second option, gives them that confidence. So the starting point is for you to look at your industry, look at where you want to venture, and look at others who are successful. How have they gone branding themselves? What are they using? Are they using their name, or they are coming up with a brand name? The second option is you going with a brand name, and that's what I would recommend majority of us to use. For example, here, I rarely use Paminas Wainaina. So for this business, it has something to do with consulting, so I'll call it consulting something. Consulting business advice or something like that. If it's the HR firm, which I have been for the last 12 years, the name is Corporate Staffing Services. It's not my name. And the advantage of that is you come to realize when you're starting, maybe it's only you, but when you bring in other shareholders, imagine if you're using your name, then the other shareholder might start asking you, now do we rebrand to include my name and such kind of things. But if you're already operating with a corporate identity, then you can continue with that. And what's my number one tip for you when you're choosing a brand name? Always make sure that the brand name is as close as possible to the service that you offer. So if you offer HR services, you can call yourself Corporate HR Services Kenya. Myself, we started doing recruitment. That's the service we started with, and that's why I came up with the brand name Corporate Staffing Services. So the minute someone sees the word staffing, they know it has something to do with HR, it has something to do with recruitment. So that way, you don't call yourself PCG Services. And someone says that even if you give them a card, they can't connect with what you do. But if that card has something to do with recruitment, advocate, accounting, audit, then it's very much easy. Remember, the advantage with brand name, it also allows you to reach a wider audience, as opposed to a name. Because right now, if I go to Google, I put a service, I'm searching for a service, I see a name of an individual. If I know them, well and good. If they have a big name out there, I'll probably click there. But if I don't know them, then the brand name will come in handy. So if I see, just an example, PSG HR services, and I see recruitment service, they offer recruitment service, I'll mostly click there. But if I see recruitment services, Paminas Finance, I'll just think this is someone who's written an article, or they're a small time player and they don't deserve my attention. So if you're thinking of getting into consultancy, the kind of name you have is really important. So take time to choose a relevant consulting business name that will serve you not only in the short term but also in the long term. If you do want to brainstorm with someone in coming up with a business name that will serve you, you do have my details here, and we can get in touch and be able to discuss the kind of name that will work for you. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, this is the time to do so, and I'll keep you updated with more informative videos on how to succeed as a consultant.